or I own a house. Or, yeah, I have a car, or I have a car, or I have a bank account, or I have, bank account. So just these words, I got an LLC, doesn't tell us anything about whether that LLC is worth the paper it's written on. So I'm going to give you a quick example of how we structure an LLC so it looks like this instead of this. All right? We start out by analogy. You know how to build a house. You start with the foundation, you frame it, you put the roof on, doors and windows go in, we work on the interior, then we finish the interior, and now we've got a beautiful house that will protect you from the elements and the bad guys. So the question is this the kind of LLC you have, or is it more like this? Now, this kind of LLC would be for someone who went to the Secretary of State website, because you can do this in any state, and you fill out a few simple questions. What's the name of the company, address, etc., who's the registered agent, etc. You pay your fee, you got an LLC. Except you have the beginning of an LLC. Because if that's all you have the foundation for an LLC. And that is not going to protect you from the wind and rain and come what may. So let me show you how we structure an LLC. We start out with what's the right state to file this LLC in. Some states give you great protection, other states give you virtually nothing. Let's go to the next stage. How many members? Is it going to be a single member or a multi-member LLC? And remember, single member LLCs do not protect in a majority of states. 60% of all LLCs are in fact single member LLCs as an estimate. And these folks are going to have a rude awakening when they're brought into court and asked, they're thinking their LLC is going to protect them. It won't. Another issue, who are the members? Is it you and your spouse, your kids, a corporation, trust, or another LLC? Another issue is going to build this LLC. Who manages it? Is it manager managed or member managed? If it's member managed, you can end up paying an additional 15.3% tax. So you've got to get that correct. We're going to go to the next stage. How is it taxed? Is it taxed as an S Corp, a C Corp, a sole proprietorship, or as a partnership? You only have a 25% chance of getting this right if you don't know the difference between these. And then let's go to another stage of building this. Are there supporting documents such as an operating agreement or a capital account ledger, a membership registry, meeting minutes, resolutions? When we draft an LLC, we draft about a dozen different documents. And we would choose from this list of potential documents that we would include in your LLC, and it depends on how it is customized to you and your particular business. Now, let's go to the final stage. Is there protective language in this LLC? In other words, did we draft in mandatory distributions or discretionary distributions? Is it pro rata or a non-pro rata distribution? Because this controls whether you keep your money or you lose your money. So the bottom line is, I want you to ask yourself, if you already have an LLC, is this the kind of LLC you have, or do you have a fully documented limited liability company, because those documents matter? Now, a complete and correctly drafted limited liability company does beautiful things. It lowers your taxes, protects your assets from lawsuits, protects you from IRS audits. But the bottom line is, think of the LLC you've got. If you have one, question is it one of those 1 or 2 page LLCs, or is it a fully documented LLC? When you're hauled into court, is this the kind of LLC you want protecting you, or would you rather have this kind of LLC protecting you? Fully documented with protective language all throughout. And when the IRS says, we're auditing you, bring me everything you have for your company, and you're going to bring them, what, a page? Or would you rather have all the authorizations to take these deductions and prove to the IRS that you are in compliance? Bottom line is, people who set up their LLCs by themselves, it's kind of like going to a garage sale and picking up a secondhand parachute. You don't know if that thing is going to work, and it's got to work because everything is on the line. So bottom line is, what we do for you is we consult with you, determine the answers to these questions that I posed to you a little while ago about how we're going to design the LLC, because if you don't have a plan for how the LLC is going to be set up, who owns it, how many members, etc., how's it managed, how's it taxed, it's kind of like you're trying to build a house by going to Home Depot and buying a bunch of hammers and nails and wood, but you don't have a blueprint. You don't know what you're going to do with the hammers and nails. So to start with a plan for what the LLC is going to do and how it's going to be structured. So we will, as part of our program, we'll create a new LLC or corporation or family limited partnership, or if you have an existing LLC or corporation and you're not 100% convinced that it will protect you, we will look at it and fix it for you if it needs to be fixed. So bottom line is this. One guy said, after your talk, I got a family limited partnership. I later received some defective product from a supplier and refused to pay. And he said the supplier sued me. But he said, as soon as they found out my assets were protected, they dropped the suit and walked away. And that is really the goal. By structuring you well and protecting you well, we're going to make it something that discourages people from coming after you. Let's look at another one. You remember this woman whose husband was involved in a bad accident, killed somebody. The other guy had a lot of medical bills, and the woman, the wife, was sued. And remember, she said she hadn't done anything wrong except for owning that car in joint ownership, and she was being sued for millions. Well, here's the rest of the story. She said, after the plaintiff's attorney received copies of my limited partnerships, I didn't have to pay them anything. Your structuring saved me over $3 million plus my entire real estate career. I will always be grateful. Another guy had a little different take on this. He said, excellent. I had no idea that I could protect my assets and screw a lawyer at the same time. Well, what we'll do for you as part of our program is we will create a new LLC or corporation or limited partnership, or we'll fix an existing one, but it will be fully documented so it does all the things that a limited liability company is supposed to do for you, but most do not. Well, everybody here owns assets. We all want to own more, but the question is, how are we going to own those assets? So the way most people do it is they own their assets in joint ownership or their name or a living trust. Every one of these are legal, but they just aren't very smart. Because if you own everything you have in joint ownership, you've got all of your eggs in one basket, and when somebody sues, they can take it all. Same thing. If you have everything you own in your name and someone sues, they can take it all. And even if you have what is called a living trust, they sue and they can take it all. So instead, we want to have assets in a family limited partnership, because now when somebody sues you, look at what they get. Nothing but a tax bill. So the question I'd like you to be asking yourself is, are you protected at this moment from come what may? And if you're not, I'm going to suggest that you want to become part of Legal Done For You, and this is where we actually take care of it. Now, I understand some of you may need to go, so just to cut to the chase, we're going to offer Legal Done For You at $697, and that is a very specially, very deeply discounted rate. So if you have to go, you got to do something, at least you now have the information. But I am going to explain a little bit more about this Legal Done For You program. So here we are. We start with an asset protection and tax reduction consultation. This is where we go through those lists of issues and variables that is different really for everybody. If you have existing entities, we're going to ask, does this entity really protect you? Does it minimize taxes? Could your overall structure be improved? And is your structure scalable to let you build your business? Well, if not, the bottom line is this. You're already meeting with me. These points are critical because they control whether your LLC is going to protect you, lower your taxes, and let you do business in a profitable way. So this consultation is what you don't get with these do-it-yourself online LLCs, and yet that is the most important step of all. So we're going to design a protective structure for you. That is part of the consultation. It's a blueprint, in other words. Then, so if we're going to design a protective structure, here's an example. We might just set up a beginning LLC. If that's what you need, you're just getting started, fine, but it will be a protective LLC set up the correct way to give you all the protections. Now, others may come to us and say, well, here's my structure, but I've already got an LLC, Bob, and I'll say, that's good. You've got one club out of the bag. But we don't play play a whole round of 18 holes with just one club. And the same is true because the value of having these tools is not just an LLC here or there, it's having these tools work together. And here's what I mean. We had one woman who became a client, and she was interested. Well, I mean, she bought real estate, and every time she did, she went to the Secretary of State website, set up a little LLC, and it was a mess. There was no overall comprehensive structure. She didn't know what to do. So we took what she had and repurposed these and pulled it together into a structure that lowered her taxes beautifully, lowered her operating costs, and gave her much, much better liability protection. Another structure might look like this. This might be someone who's self-managing their property, so they use a management company up at the top. If they're doing flips and rentals, they've got a flipping LLC. They may have a holding company, which owns other companies, and then they have LLCs that in fact own the properties. But understand, below the line, we're protecting personal assets. Above the line, we're protecting business assets. Here's another structure or diagram or blueprint, if you want to call it that, of how we would protect in this particular situation. And then again, everybody is different. And so this was appropriate for this particular client. If this looks a little complex to you, that's good. It's supposed to, because think of what we're really doing. You will understand what is here, why we did what we did, because we'll take the time to explain it to you. But to an outside plaintiff's lawyer looking for a quick hit, a quick settlement, a quick drive-by lawsuit, so to speak, this is going to make the plaintiff's lawyer job much more difficult, more time-consuming, more expensive, more frustrating. We're going to make this a very difficult game for the plaintiff to play because you have such a good defense. Remember, it's nothing more than what we all experienced on the elementary school playground. They didn't pick on the big kid. They picked on the poor, defenseless kid. And folks, you don't want to be that poor little defenseless kid. You want to have a good defense. So the first thing we have in Legal Done For You, this program, is we will sit down with you over the phone, of course, and do a consultation. And from that, we will design a protective structure, and then we will actually put it into practice. We will create that new LLC or corporation or family limited partnership, or if you've already done that and you've got an existing LLC or corporation, we'll fix it, restructure it, so that it actually does protect you. And one woman said, my husband and I have 2 of your lawsuit protection entities. We took them to our attorney, and he said they were bulletproof. As you sit here right now, are you bulletproof? And if not, let's help you. So Legal Done For You includes our asset protection consultation and the creation of one customized limited liability company or corporation or family limited partnership, or we'll fix an existing one. Bottom line is that is roughly a $2,000 value, but you already know that on this special event, we're going to provide that for $697, and that is a deeply discounted fee. All right? That is worth it. Now, that's less than a few bucks a day. So think about it. To protect everything you have for the rest of your life, for less than a few bucks a day, it should be pretty obvious. Now, we're going to include another bonus for those of you who are purchasing Legal Done For You, rather. It's an ebook on how to actually operate your company in order to minimize taxes and protect from liability, because we're going to create the LLC with wonderful protections built into it, but if you operate the company in an incorrect way, it can undo all of the protections we've already built in. So you've got to know how. In other words, what does the law say is the right way to run your LLC and the wrong way to run your LLC? That is, this particular ebook is for those of you who want to purchase Legal Done For You, and we'll get this LLC to you. But for everybody on this call, everybody gets the ebook on tax saving.